Welcome to Cobra Kai Canada. I am your host, Hilary, and today my guest is returning, Brandon H. Lee, who plays Quan on Cobra Kai. Welcome back to the show, Brandon.
What's up, Hilary? Thanks so much for having me again. I forgot how awesome your intro is, man. That got me hyped.
I know, I love it too, man. It gets me like, when I was listening to it, I was like, all right, man, let's do this, man.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's like a motivation for me. But yeah. But Quan, I want to congratulate you on a brilliant performance. You left a mark in your time span on Cobra Kai. People are already calling it legendary. What are your thoughts on that?
Oh my gosh, thank you so much. I mean, I'm still like in the heat of digesting everything right now. It just feels very surreal to me as a fan of the show, but I'm super grateful, and yeah, I don't really know what else to say. I feel like the writers and the creative team and the cast and crew and everyone just made everything so perfect. You know, it's just I'm just honored to be a part of it. So yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. And it's like the scream heard around the world. And speaking around the world, Netflix is streaming in over 190 countries. And as you know, every time Cobra Kai releases a season, it's the #1 show on Netflix. And have you ever just kind of like sat back and kind of like analyzed everything and say to yourself, holy shit, people know who I am? What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, dude, it's like I said, I'm in the heat of it right now. It's like a really interesting thing. I think especially with like social media now, it's like, because it's all on technology and it's a number when you see it on your phone or like when you see it on Netflix. So like it's like really hard to process it because it feels like an alternate reality almost, you know. But then like, and I also haven't had the chance to interact with too many fans yet, like face to face or whatever. So like I'm like in the heat of it right now of like still trying to process everything. But yeah, I'm super honored, and it's just like I can't really put it into words. I'm just like, whoa, this is crazy. You know what I mean? Yeah.
It's crazy because like I still remember like when I interviewed you like after part 1 came out and stuff like that, and I told you how much like I fell in love with your character right away, and like, you know, to me that like it says a lot, right? Because like you got this guy Kwon from Korea joining Cobra Kai with Sensei Kreese and Kim Da-Eun, and the impact and the mark you left is just like, it's, I don't know, for me it's overwhelming. And I'm like, you know, and as I told you, I was like, you're my favorite character, up there with Mike Barnstead even. Like, I love you guys both, and that's never gonna change, you know what I mean? And like, despite, you know, the outcome of like Quan's character and what happened, it's just, like I said, the fans are already saying it's legendary, right? So like, I think that says a lot, especially coming from the fans, right? Because like, you know, the fans, right, they're wild, especially Cobra Kai fans. I don't think I need to tell you that. So yeah, but hopefully, you know, we'll see you like in future like Comic Cons and like all kinds of stuff. You know, that would be thrilling. Hopefully you can come up here in Canada and we can.
Yeah,
you know,
I would love to. I would
yeah,
love to. Yeah.
something like that. So they got a pretty big Comic Con here called Fan Expo Canada. They do every year. So I'm sure.
Cool.
Yeah, I'm sure you're definitely on the list, man. So yeah.
Yeah, let's fingers crossed. Let's see if it happens one day. Hopefully, yeah.
For sure. So like in this interview, let's try to get a little in the mindset of Quan if we can. You know what I mean? I'll try and keep it like, you know, simple. So I have like an interesting question to ask you. First of all, you must have one hell of a poker face, because in the first interview in part 1, you obviously knew the outcome of you know, Quan's character, right? So like, just because of like, you know, when filming was completed, like my question to you is like, when you were filming part 1 and in the first few episodes you were in, did you find out that like Quan's fate was going to be like death? And like, now did the big 3 kind of come up to you like later in the few episodes or before? Like what happened? When did you exactly know like his exact fate? That's what I'm really curious to know.
Yeah. So I think I said it in our first interview too. When we were shooting episode 3, while we were shooting, the only script I had was for episode 3. So I had
Yes.
no clue the arc of the character.
Oh, okay.
And one of the creators of the show was pulling me aside in between takes and telling me the arc of the character. I don't know if you remember me saying that, but
I remember 100%.
yeah, that's when he told me everything. Like, and I was just like, oh my gosh, this is crazy. And it was funny. I felt like he enjoyed messing with me almost. Like, he was like looking into my soul and like, and nobody's ever died in the history of this show.
Oh my.
And you will be the first. And I was just like, oh. Like the pressure of it was just like insane. But I had chills down my spine and just like beyond honored to be a part of such a big moment, but also extremely terrified and nervous. Like the closer we got to the day of filming that, the more nervous I got. So, but you know, by the time we got there, I had so much confidence in the character and so much confidence in my chemistry with just everyone there, that it just felt right, you know. So yeah, but that's when I found out. And dude, can you imagine, like, this is my first role and like I'm not used to doing interviews like this and I'm having to keep my mouth shut about all of that. Like, I was like just tried my best to not pull a, I love him so much, but not pull a Tom Holland and you know, like, and like, you know, spill the beans of everything. Cause yeah.
Of course, right? Because you guys, a lot of fans don't know this, but you guys go through an NDA protocol, which, like, you know, I mean, you have to keep everything closed, shut. You can't reveal anything, like, you know, I mean, because you guys could get like sued, and like, God forbid that ever happened, right? And like, when they told you, like, what was your first thoughts? Where you're like, oh my God, I'm gonna die, my Quan character. You know what I mean? Like, were you like realistically, you were like, damn, man, that sucks, because like I love this show. You know what I mean? This was like your dream to be on Cobra Kai, and you're living it. So that's why I'm kind of curious to, like, you know, what exactly was like, what were you thinking? Were you
So
like, yeah, go ahead.
Oh no, what were you gonna say?
Like, were you cool with it?
Yeah. I mean, my initial response was just like, because it was so early into the show, and I felt like there was so much that was like Hayden told me there was so much that was about to happen. I was just focused on like, I got to make sure I do the best job possible, you know? So I wasn't like, oh dang, they're killing me off or anything. I was just honored to be part of such a big moment. But you know, when we got to the day and once we finished, it was like the most bittersweet moment, you know. It was like I was so honored and so just grateful to be there and for my time there. But yeah, there was a little part of me, part of me was sad just because of the fact that I would have less time. I wasn't gonna have any more time to just be with all of those amazing people.
Right.
Story structure wise, I think everything happened perfectly, you know, like it was meant to happen. Like, I agree with everything 1000%. The only part that makes me feel a little bit is just like that I don't get to hang out with them every day.
Yeah.
You know? Like that was the only thing. But no, like everything that happens, like I just think it was meant to happen, and it was I thought it was going to be very impactful, and so far from what everyone's saying, it was very impactful. So I mean, it seems like we did what we set out to do. So I'm just honored to be part of it. Yeah.
Yeah, this had to be one of the biggest like shockers of like the entire like series. Like and like you said earlier, right? They've never actually had anybody like die, right? During, you know, a show. So like I was just like, oh wow, they really went deep into this one. Like for me, I'm like heartbroken because, like, as I told you, I love Quan. I love you as a person, and I'm just like, why does this have to happen to me? Obviously to you too, but like I was like a guy, I was just like, now I remember in our first interview I said, if you won the Sekai Taikai tournament, I'm putting you up on my little wall of fame next to Mike Barnes. You know what?
Oh yeah, I remember you said that. Yeah.
Funny enough, I wish this was like done in time. I'm actually having a custom poster made of you, of the Quan character. I wish it was done today for this interview because I wanted to show you. I was going to reveal it to you, but I'll message you when it's done and I'm going to put it up. It's really, really, I've actually seen glimpses of it. So really cool. And I'm going to send you a copy as well, man. So I made
cool. Thank you so much.
Yeah,
I'm excited to see it.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Framed and everything. And I was just like, so yeah, I'm not just like a fan of anybody. So like,
thank you.
Yeah. When I say it, I mean it. So you're going
I'm
up
honored.
Next to Mike Barnes, because like Cobra Kai is obviously one of my favorite shows, and like this show, like, you know, it impacts me too in a daily life, right? I look up to it. You're like your character, you know, you guys are just not characters for us fans, you know what I mean? We see you guys as like role models and like motivation and like all kinds of stuff, right? So it's really cool. I know you're playing the character, you're living the character, so maybe you see it a little different than what we see. So so
yeah, that's what's so interesting, like that like as you were saying, like you took it so like like when you know Quan died, and like I'm seeing the fan response of it, and like it was funny. I posted pretty recently like the behind the scenes of that moment, episode 10, and I'm like smiling and having the best time in like all of the photos, and like people are just commenting like, you broke our hearts but you're smiling. like it's just like the funniest thing.
Some
like I'm like, oh dude, like they're so into it that they like genuinely feel that loss, and I'm like,
I actually did.
It's just like, it's wow, you know, to me, because I was like a part of the process. I'm just like having a good time, and I was just having so much fun. But you know, when I think about it, and I've watched shows where like I love a character so much and they die, like I know that feeling, and I'm like, wow, like it feels surreal that so many people feel that way about Quan.
Right.
It's just like I'm just still processing that. So I'm just like, it's crazy to me.
You know, man, like you definitely nailed it. It's funny because like, no disrespect to any other character, everybody's phenomenal in their own way, right? But like, it still goes back to what I said earlier, like the Quan character in that time span left such a huge mark where people just like were so like in shock. They were just like in awe, and they were, you know, obviously some were upset, some were like, oh, whoa, like what the hell happens now? What's going to happen? You know, like there's so many emotions going on, right? And like for me, like it still goes back. Like I was just shaking my head, right? I was like, why me, man? I just love Quan, man. I was like, well, I didn't. There was so many things. Like I just like part of me wanted to grab a chair and just like throw it against the wall, right? And I was just like, no,
oh, no.
You know what I mean? But like at the end of the day, it's all good fun, and you killed the part. So that's what
Thank
matters. You. And like I said, you're a team player too. So like, you know, we got to look at it as an actor's perspective too, right? So. So, but awesome job, man. So, yeah, definitely. So, in part 2 at the Sekai Taikai tournament, you got to work with people with all sorts of insane backgrounds. I'll give you an example. Reina, who's a 13-time Taekwondo champion. Stuntman, Mr. Bayfield, as you know. Britt Baker, who is a former AEW women's champion. Shout out to Britt Baker. I posted on Instagram a post of her congratulating her on her Cobra Kai debut, because I know it was like a lifelong dream. She's a huge fan, and I couldn't believe she responded, because she technically really never responds to people like on social media. So the fact that, like, you know, she did, I was on her. So shout out to Britt Baker. And I was like, I'm a wrestling fan, so I thought that was that's really cool. So you care to elaborate on all these people that you got to work with these different backgrounds, this is crazy.
Yeah, I mean, it was like the coolest thing ever for me. It was like so overwhelming in the best way possible. I was just like fanboying everywhere, you know, like we're starting with just, you know, the fact that now in part 2 I finally get to interact with like most of the main cast, you know, and I'm already like, oh my gosh, this is so cool, you know, I'm such a fan of the show. And then on top of that, they're adding all these new characters, like, you know, Patrick, Reina, everyone, you know, Britt, like I could go down the list. It's just like so many awesome people that I've like wanted to work with for the longest time. And what was even crazier was like because I come from the stunt world as well, there were so many people that I knew from the stunt world that were like on the stunt team. And I was just like, it felt like two of my worlds like colliding in one. And it was just like so surreal and awesome. And like they really brought the Avengers of like martial arts like onto this. And yeah, it was just every day was just a dream to like be like the Sekai Taikai was like, you got hundreds of like the coolest people in the world all in one room every single day. So even when like, you know, on film sets, there's a lot of downtime usually in the sense of like as an actor, you're like waiting for, you know, there's a lot that goes into it. So a lot of times it's not just like you're filming all the time. It's like because they got to set up for camera and everything. So during that downtime, a lot of times on other sets, you can be kind of bored, you know, but like here it was never boring. There was always someone new to talk to and just like get to know and just, yeah, it was so awesome, man. That was probably the biggest thing that I missed, that I continue to miss from the project. But yeah, that was so cool. So cool.
That I can imagine, man. It's just like, you know what I mean? You're working with like, you know, like OGs too, obviously, you know, like Ralph Macchio and, you know, William Zabka as well, right? So we're not going to forget about those guys. But it's cool like how they put like all these sort of like people with different backgrounds into the Sekai Taikai. And I'm sure, you know, some of them don't have any martial arts background, which is cool. I think, correct me if I'm wrong, but Patrick Lewis, he did not have much, if any, martial arts background. Is that correct?
Yeah, no, dude, Patrick, I remember he was like pretty nervous coming into it because he's like, you know, he's supposed to be the biggest bad and he has like barely any time to train. But dude, he absolutely killed it. Like
he did.
He put everything he picked it up so fast too. He's very athletic, but you know, to be able to pick up martial arts like that in such a short amount of time is very, 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 very hard. And I just remember there was one day where I always like, even when I'm on a project like that where we're filming and it's very taxing, I always train as much as I can outside of work. And so, you know, I'm thinking I'm at the gym. No, nobody else is in here training like me. And I see Patrick walk in and he's training as well. And like I remember he came up to me and he was like asking me for tips because, you know, he knows that I have a lifelong background in martial arts and he was just so minded and just like wanting to do whatever he could to just like do the best job possible. So really shout out to Patrick.
Wow.
Like I think he was really nervous to see the fan feedback, but they've been very welcoming to him. He absolutely deserves it, man, because he killed it. And I, like me as a lifelong martial artist, even for me, it was hard to like just get thrown in here and not have that much time to train. And so I can't imagine like, you know, never ever doing this and getting thrown in there and still giving a performance like that. It's just like,
yeah,
I don't know how he did it, dude. That dude's like actually superhuman, just like his character.
Yeah, and he's a big guy. He's like 6'3" too, right? So like, you know, people that are taller, I hate to say this, but they're a little more, you know, it's a little more hard for them to be a little more flexible than us shorter guys, right? You know what I mean? Yeah. So it's just like, you know, having a basketball player trying to like, you know, do all these martial arts.
Yeah. Exactly.
So it's not easy, but like, yeah, so as a fan perspective, I got beef with the Axel character. So yeah, so I don't see eye to eye with him, but I've heard nothing but good things. Even as I told you before we edited on the podcast, I was talking to John. We talked a little about Patrick as well, and he had really good things to say about him. So that's true. So now, Brandon, as an American-born Korean, we saw you speak Korean in part 1, obviously. And in part 2, you spoke English with a broken accent. Now, which out of the two did you find kind of like difficult to do? Because like, you obviously know how to speak like Korean, right? Like, you know, I mean, like I know how to speak my native tongue just through, you know, learning at home. And now you got to like kind of convert over into like speaking, you speak perfect English with no accent. So now it's kind of like Borat. If you ever seen that movie Borat, you know, he plays this Kazakhstani with like a broken English, but he's actually from England or something like that, the actor. So like was it, which of the two did you kind of find difficult, if you did?
Yeah, that's a really good question.
Yeah,
well, the short answer is both were hard.
Okay.
I'm actually not fluent in Korean.
Okay.
Both my parents are from Seoul, but I grew up in Minnesota, and there's not many Korean people in Minnesota.
I can imagine.
So it was like, and also I was like the second born, so a lot of times like the younger one usually doesn't pick up their native tongue because, you know, it's just harder when you have siblings and, you know, you're just going to school and speaking English all the time.
Sure, I can relate.
But, you know, I've talked about this in the past, but this is where like the strike was actually a blessing in disguise. I got pinned for the show before the strike.
I remember.
And I had to wait 8 months until I found out I got the role and was filming. But within those 8 months, I really worked on my Korean just in case. And I'm glad I did because it ended up happening where I booked the show. So I worked on it a lot and I still continue to work on it as much as I can. But that was definitely, I think it was just, they were both difficult in different ways. For Korean, it was mainly just sounding natural and making sure to the best of my ability, sound like a native speaker. I think native Koreans can probably tell I have an accent, like an American accent, but at least like I just wanted to do it justice as much as possible because I've seen a lot of TV shows and movies where they have a Korean person, and most of the time I can tell they're not even Korean, like at all, like not even Korean American. Like they're hiring someone that's just might be a different Asian, like Chinese or Japanese or whoever, and they're having them speak Korean, and it's like immediately you feel like, what the heck? Like, why didn't you just find a Korean person? You know what I mean? Like, so I just I was like, whatever I do, I don't want Korean people to feel like that, you know? And I did the best to my ability to do that. With the accent, it was very tricky because in the past, I've had auditions where I've like worked on the accent here and there, and I do it comedically sometimes. But I knew Quan wasn't supposed to be comedic, you know, he wasn't supposed to be necessarily funny. So I wanted to make sure I wasn't like making fun of the accent. I wanted to make sure it sounded as natural as possible. So that was definitely something I like worked on. And I remember I would have, both my parents are immigrants, so they speak Korean. I mean, they speak English very, very well because they've been in the States for over 30 years now. But they still have a subtle accent. So I would have them. And so actually their accent's better than Quan's. Like they sound more American than Quan did, I think. I would have them read like each line, and I would like pick up the nuances of like when they would struggle to say certain words. A lot of it's like they add extra syllables sometimes, and they struggle to say their F's because there's no F in Korean. They say P instead. So it was like little things like that. But it was awesome. By the end of it, I remember there was one day where there was a script change on the day. And like within the first few episodes I was shooting, I had to like break down each line to make sure I was like saying it authentically with the Korean accent. But, you know, there was like, I think it was around like episode 8 or something where Bob, one of the writers and producers, came up to me and he was like, "Hey, Brandon, there's a script change here." And if that happened in the beginning, I would have like freaked out. I would have been like, "Oh my God." And I called my parents and like, say this line so I could hear the accent. But what was awesome was by then I felt like really comfortable with the accent. And I was even like improvising a lot by that time. And like the accent was coming out naturally. So it was like such an interesting thing because like it really did feel like an alter ego because of the accent. too. Like it just felt like a different side of me that I didn't like. It's literally felt like an alternate universe. If I grew up in Korea, what would I have sounded like?
Right.
I would have never. I've always been curious of that my whole life. Just being, dang, what if my parents never moved to Minnesota? Like what would I have been like? I don't think I would have been as evil as Quan, but like I might have sounded like him. Like the accent. So it was really cool to explore that.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why I thought like, I got to ask him because like, I mean, you're doing like two different, roles in if that's a correct term to say, because like, you're speaking Korean, then you got to like do this broken English accent, and we know like, you don't have one. So it's just like, I thought I asked it. So now going into the mindset of Quan, how would you describe your relationship with Sensei Kreese and Kim Da-Eun prior to your death? Like, do you think Kwon looked up more to Kreese than Kim Da-Eun? Because like you can see in part 2 that both Kreese and Kim Da-Eun didn't really like see eye to eye in certain situations, right? So I'm just kind of like trying to figure out in Kwon's mindset, like who did he have like a better open relationship? I kind of know the answer, but like to the mindset. Yeah.
Yeah, I think definitely he gravitates towards Kreese. In the sense of like Kreese is the first person I think Quan feels like actually gets him.
Right.
And I think he's lived his whole life in that Tojang, being the underdog, being put number 2 by Sensei Kim Da-Eun. And Kreese is finally someone that sees something in him. And Quan's finally like, oh, you get me? Like, you get this. Okay. Yeah, fine. I'll listen to you. Like, I'm not going to listen to anyone else, but I'll listen to you. But to be honest, I think Quan is very simple-minded and like kind of, what's the right word? Just ruthless in the sense, I don't think he for both of them, I think he just sees them as stepping stones to get to his goal. Like, I think he's just very simple like that. Like, I think definitely if there was one relationship that he gravitates towards more, it's definitely Kreese. But like, I think at the end of the day, the only reason why he listens to him is because he's like, oh, I want to be the best fighter in the world. You might help me get there. So let's do it. Like, he's just very simple in that sense. And he's just like, yeah, he just sees things for what they are. And I think he actually sees like, okay, I like that you like to get an edge, like that scene where Kreese tells Quan to go wreak havoc in at the bars and stuff. Like,
I love that.
Okay,
that was great.
I like it. You're speaking my language. Like, it's a very short scene, but he's like, okay, yeah, I'll listen to you. Let's go. I'm gonna go do it. But yeah, I think that's his mindset. Yeah,
I agree with you because like Kreese has trained champions, as you know, at the All Valley tournament with Cobra Kai in the United States, right? And Kreese is a character that's been through like so much like struggle and like he's just experienced life, right? So like if I was in Quan's shoes, like would I listen to like Kim Da-Eun or Sensei Kreese? And nothing against Kim Da-Eun because she's a hell of a fighter. We know that she's highly skilled, but like I just think I would tag along more to Kreese, if that makes any sense. And Kreese does remind me a lot of my dad. so in a good way, obviously, not a bad way, because I love Kreese. Kreese is like one of my guys too, right? So like every time I see Kreese and he appears on screen, like my face lights up, right? Because he's so old school, and I'm pretty old school too. That's how we were raised, right? Very old school. So like that's why I thought I'd kind of ask on like Quan's perspective. So next question, Brandon, is now how would you actually describe Quan's relationship with Tory? Because from a fan perspective, it seemed like Quan was not really high on Tory, just like kind of like Kim Da-Eun, but out of respect to Sensei Kreese, he was like willing to like kind of trust the process, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, I think I mean, it kind of goes back to what I was saying before. Quan's mind is very, very simple. Where he's like, you're either gonna help me get to this goal or get the out of my way. You know what I mean?
Hell yeah.
So I think, like right before they have the captain's war in episode 6, like, he has a plan in mind, and Tory kind of steps out of line. He's like, shut up, pretty much, you know? And he's like, in his mind, he's just like, the rules are us as captains can't go down. I know I'm not going to go down, but I don't know who the heck you are. You're some random American girl that's on this team that I don't really care about.
Yeah, that's great.
But if you go down, I lose. So I'm just like, don't fall down. Get the heck back there. Just get out of the way. I'll kill everyone else. Like I'll handle it. I'll handle it, you know? But I think, you know, once she just charges like by herself and we end up winning versus Miyagi-Do, I think he sees like, okay, you're not as bad as I thought. You know, like, okay, maybe that's why I think he's more open to like, all right, what's your plan now? Let's go, you know, when they see Iron Dragons. He's kind of like, okay, all right, I guess I can listen to you a little bit. But I think overall, like, he just sees her again as a stepping stone. He sees that she has a relationship with Robby. He knows that he's gonna end up fighting Robby, so he's just uses her to get in his head. Like, I don't think he actually has any intentions with like actually being attracted to Tory.
Sure.
He literally just sees her as a stepping stone to get to Robby's head.
Oh, that's great. Yeah.
That's how I think Quan thinks, but yeah.
Yeah. Oh, it's funny because like there was like one scene that you guys were in like a pub or a bar or whatever, and you had your hands around Tory. She kind of brushed you off, right? So like this was part of like Quan's plan, obviously, right? And what I like about you is you are so determined to win. Like this tournament was not just a tournament for Quan, right? This was everything, right? And obviously to go back home to Korea, you know what I mean, to honor Master Kim. And I think, you know, he had a goal, as where Tory, she was still like, you know, disturbed about like her mother's death, and she had so much going on, and obviously Robby there and him being on Miyagi-Do, and she thinks like, you know, everybody thinks like, you know, like she betrayed us. There was just too much drama, you know what I mean? Yeah. And as we say, hope you don't get offended, but Americans are very dramatic. So, like, yeah. So
yeah, I won't deny that.
Yeah, that's funny. So, Brandon, I got a special surprise for you.
Okay.
I know I told you, you know, like, you know, Mike Barnes, Sean Kanan, he's like my all-time favorite, and so are you. And I remember like during the first interview, you told me how much of a fan you are of Sean Kanan and Mike Barnes too. And I was like, oh man, that's so cool. We have like the same mindset. We like the same characters. So I talked to Sean Kanan, and
no way.
Yeah, so you know, I was talking to Sean Kanan, and I told him like, you know, like Brandon's coming on my interview, and he's like a huge fan of yours, just like me, right? So me and Sean Kanan, we're, you know, we've been buddies for long, so he was extremely flattered. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce to you the bad boy himself.
No way, dude.
Yes.
No way. There's no way.
Yes. Nice to meet you. Hey, what's going on, both you guys?
What's going on, buddy?
This is surreal, dude. Oh my gosh, it's so nice to meet you.
Man. I was the one who was fanboying.
Oh my gosh, this is surreal, dude. Oh my, Hilary, once he started saying that, I was like, I swear, if Sean's about to pop up here, I'm gonna freak out. Oh my gosh, this is so cool. This is so nice to meet you, man. I'm such a big fan.
Brandon, where are you?
I'm in North Hollywood.
Oh wow, okay, I'm in West Hollywood.
Oh really, dude? How have we not met yet?
Sometime.
Yes.
Get my number and everything, and yeah, I'd love to hook up with you.
Yeah, let's do it, man. Let's meet up.
Hey,
oh my!
Now we can say we did a movie together because we're both in a A-list movie, right?
Yeah. Oh my gosh,
Oh
this
my-
is surreal.
This is
crazy, man.
This is unbelievable, Sean. Honestly, man, thanks for taking time out of your day to like do this.
Pleasure.
This is
Recognize this?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, I recognize that. That's so cool, man. Is that the original?
That's the one. So Brandon, if you get did you get your uniform from wardrobe?
Maybe.
Well, listen, I'll tell you what, I got this amazing friend named Danny Serrano, and he does these sort of 3D things, And if you get it to me, I bet Danny would love to make you one too. And all he asks is take a picture and post it. He's super, super talented guy. And he'll make you a really cool 3D case for your gi.
Oh my gosh, that would be amazing. Yeah, thank you so much. I'll definitely have to contact you about that. That's awesome.
Absolutely. Yeah, get all my information.
Yeah. Let's do it. Holy cow.
This is honestly, guys, you have no idea what's going through my head right now. Like, I'm trying to like not cry right now because
Cobra Kai, right?
Oh my God, man, I'm getting like so emotional here. To have
man.
two of my favorite characters on my podcast, like, oh my God, man, I'm like really tearing up here. I'm trying to I'm trying to man up here, but like this is hard, man, because like you guys mean the world to me, and to have
thank you. You know, I always say one of the greatest things that happened from Cobra Kai was the sense of community and family that it created around the world. And
absolutely,
you know, just because the show is going to end, that those good vibes and everything need to continue on. It's amazing the people that I've met just all over the world, and we all have this thing in common. And you know, Brandon, I don't know if you know this, but like I started out as a guy that saw the Karate Kid and the Karate Kid 2 in the theaters. You know, I mean, I bought a ticket, and then suddenly I'm in the Karate Kid 3, so I'm a fan. You know, I get it, brother.
No, same here. That's why I'm freaking out, because I grew up watching the Karate Kid movies. I watched Cobra Kai since season 1, so like that's why to see you here is mind blowing. I'm probably gonna fanboy again.
How long have you been in? Are you from California?
No, I'm originally from Minnesota.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. So what's next for you? I'm curious. Where are you going from here?
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure you're much more experienced in this field than me. It's like, we'll see, you know. Like, I'm just trying to digest everything. I definitely want to interact with the fans more. So maybe go to some cons and stuff. But yeah, I'm just trying to ride the wave. Enjoy the ride and ride the wave and see what comes next, and just continue to work on myself as an artist in person. But yeah,
really tremendous, humble attitude, and I think that's gonna take you really far. It really is.
Thank you.
You have the whole world is opening up to you right now, and it's a really exciting time for you. So enjoy it.
Thank you.
It's only gonna get better.
That means the world to me. Thank you. It's so awesome to hear you tell me things like that, because you know, like I really look up to you, and then like you're really experienced in this field. I feel like you've seen a lot more, you know, in the field, and you're kind of like give me shortcuts of the map by telling me things like that. So thank you.
If I can ever be a source of information for you, I am more than happy to do it. You are such an amazing, gifted martial artist, and it's just beautiful to watch you do what you do. And
thank you,
you know, I would love to get to know you better. And unfortunately, I have to jump off because I have a new book out, and my wife and I are doing sort of a Zoom press tour for the book. And then I got my new bad boy hot sauce is out too, so I'm doing.
Whoa, dude! I gotta check both of those out. That's amazing.
Some of these, man.
Yes, that's the best name ever.
Yeah, right. Yeah, this one here is called Cobra Venom.
Whoa, that's so cool. Oh my god!
Those will be in stores all over in 2025, and right now people can get them at waythecobra.com. And I'd love to get together with you because I want to bring you copies of my books, Way of the Cobra. And
that's so cool.
Yes, please. I was literally gonna ask, like, where could I get them? Like,
no, I'm gonna give them to you.
Oh my god!
So get my information, and I'll take you out to lunch, and I'll give you the books, and we can get to know each other. Okay?
That's so awesome,
guys.
Sean, thank you so much.
Really, really wonderful Thanksgiving. All right,
Sean. Thanks for stopping by, man.
Thank you so much. Very nice meeting you. Oh my gosh, Alir, thank you so much for doing that.
I told you, like I said in the beginning, I'm not just a fan of yours, Quan. You're like, or I just called you Quan. I'm not just any fan, man. Here at Cobra Kai Canada, man, I like to really hook it up. I love when everybody, like Sean says, man, this is all family at the end of the day, man. And there's no other fan base like this. And there you go. Sean just proved it. This guy just contact him. Let's get together. And he's a
Yeah.
great guy. I've hung out with Sean so many times, and we always have fun. We're very old school. Me and Sean, we're into quads and hunting. And when he comes up to Canada,
Oh, that's
bro,
sick.
you got to come up here, man. When Sean comes up here as well. Well, you
Yeah,
guys are
man.
closer, so you guys are gonna hang out more. But like, we'll plan something, the three of us,
That's
man.
awesome. Yeah, that'd be awesome.
But I hope you guys do some sort of like collaboration. And Sean's the guy to go to, man. I'm telling you right now, he's the coolest guy ever, man.
Yeah, I just saw it right there. There's proof, like I finally got to interact with them. That was awesome. Thank you so much, Hilary.
Absolutely, bro. So yeah, Sean Kanan blessed us with his presence, and that was seriously surreal. And what's going through your mind, Brandon?
Dude, I exactly. I think what's going through your mind. I'm just like a little dumbfounded. I'm at a loss of words. That was so cool. That was so cool. Thank you so much for doing that.
Absolutely, bro. Honestly, man, I love you like a brother, man. You're the best.
Thank you.
So now continuing, couple more questions I have for you now. Like, what was your thoughts on the Iron Dragons? They had a badass Sensei Wolf, played by Louis Tan, a highly skilled fighters, of course, the legendary Silver running things in the background. What was your kind of thoughts on the Iron Dragons?
Dude, I thought that we were badass, but dang, Iron Dragons, oh my gosh. Well, just everything about them is just so freaking cool. I could go down the list. I mean, Reina is the martial arts world is very small, and both Reina and I come from the martial arts world.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think we've both like knew of each other, but we never met.
Mm-hmm.
We never got to work with each other. So it was really cool to like meet and be able to work with each other. And she was so amazing. She absolutely killed it. And I feel like both of us, like got to experience that together, coming from the martial arts world and being able to be in a show like this and represent, the martial arts world in that sense was just really, really cool to be able to go through that journey together with someone. And, I already spoke on Patrick. Patrick's just amazing. He absolutely killed it as Axel and just, yeah, man, he's awesome. Patrick's amazing. Very, very gifted actor. And, I know there was a lot of weight on his shoulders coming into it. So he was awesome. And Louis was, what's really cool is Louis and I actually have one of the same mentors named Andy Chang. He's a legend. He's a legend in the stunt industry. He was a member of the Jackie Chan stunt team in all of the Rush Hour movies.
Love those movies. I love Rush Hour. Yeah.
And I got to work with Andy Chang on Shang-Chi as a stunt double, and also he brought me back for a movie called Knights of the Zodiac. And I know he worked with Louis from Into the Badlands. And, one of the most pivotal moments in my career was when I really made the commitment to go all in on acting and say no to stunts. And a big reason why is Andy told me that. Andy told me, he's like, if you want to act, you have to commit completely. You can't just do both back and forth. Like you have to commit 100%. And he always used Louis as an example. He's like, a few years ago, I told Louis the same thing, and look at him. And so I kind of saw Louis as an example of like, okay, if he can do it, that means I can do it, and so to be able to work with him, someone that I kind of like, looked up to like that, it was really, really cool. And and then also I was just as a fan, I'm like, I really hope Thomas comes back as Silver, because Silver is just so badass.
Oh, I know, man. He is.
So yeah, being able to work with him, I didn't get to interact with him much, but the little interactions I got to work with him was just so surreal, and it's just so. Oh, awesome.
I bet. Yeah, Terry Silver. Yeah, you talk about legends. There's one right there, right?
Yeah,
and like as you said, like you didn't really get to work with him much, but still being in the same room with him and seeing him play his part is like probably just more than enough, right? So, Brandon, now you guys filmed the tournament in Lithia Springs High School in a gymnasium. Not too many people know that. I know that, got the ins and outs. So the same venue where they obviously filmed the previous All Valley tournaments. Now, did you kind of find that venue a little small, or was it just me? Like, I've actually been there once and I've seen the surroundings and stuff like that. So like, to me, it just kind of seems small. Like, were you guys comfortable with the room you had? Because like, you know, the brawl, and there was so many people. Like, I can't, like, how many people do you think was in the brawl? Right? Yeah. Like, I can't even give you numbers.
Hundreds.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, now that I think about it, I never really thought of the size too much. I mean, I didn't even know that was the same place of the other stuff. Like you said information that I didn't even know about. So, but I mean, to me, it didn't. For how many of us there were, it was kind of small in that sense. We
seemed like it
during the Captain's War. We had to like really cheat the angles to like, because there was technically 4 teams fighting at once on that mat, and like for how much chaos was going on, even that was like kind of difficult. But you know, movie magic, we made it work. And
of course,
I mean, it was just, for me, I was just it's a dream as an actor and as a stunt performer to be able to work on a set where we had perfect flat ground with taekwondo karate mats, and we have spring floor underneath, like gymnastics floor underneath. Like, it's
so you
literally
guys
the perfect conditions, and we're in light wardrobe. Like, if in the movie industry, people understand 99%, like, you will never get better conditions than that. Most of the time you're fighting some type of, you know, crutch, like with some type of crutch. Like, you either have boots that are like 5 pounds each, so you're not as fast, or like, you know, you're fighting uphill, you're fighting on gravel. There's always some type of like setback in a sense, but this was like the most ideal conditions you could possibly get. So it was just, for me, it was just like a dream. Like, I felt like I was in my pajamas and like, you know, just being able to fight like in the best conditions possible. So that was awesome. Yeah.
That's really cool. And it's funny because you mentioned about the springs, and so you guys actually got like a higher elevation, right, when you guys were jumping because of that. That's so cool. I never even knew that, because like, if you go back into like, let's say like the 80s and early 90s films and stuff, I'm sure like they never really even processed or even thought of doing something like that, right? They were just like, they were raw back in the day, you know what I mean? Like, for example, like, you know, Jean-Claude Van Damme, he would just do his backspin kicks naturally and without any, you know, anything, right? So like, that's interesting, man. That's really cool, man. But
it's like
go ahead.
It's like gymnastics floor. So like, it's still very similar to normal ground. It's just you get a little bit more bounce.
Sure,
you know? But
absolutely.
It's like best conditions, definitely.
That's sick, man. And honestly, Brandon, I've seen you in like a couple behind the scenes footage, and like, man, you make it look so fluent and so crisp. It's man, I know I compared you to Philip Ree in the first interview, and man, I'm not scared to say this, but man, I think you've honestly, for your young age, I think you've actually like surpassed him from what I've been seeing, man.
Oh gosh, that is
like, geez, and that's no disrespect to Mr. Philip Ree, because I'm a huge fan of his, but like, geez, man, you are like, you're the real deal, man. Like, I'm not even kidding, bro. Wow.
I'm honored. But like, it's just different times, you know, like, it's,
of course,
back then they didn't have, like, he literally was a huge part in like just revolutionizing taekwondo on the big screen like that, you know? So like, if it wasn't for him, I'm not able to do what I do, you know? So like, back then the most spins in a kick they have is a 360. Like, it's not even in a vocabulary back then, you know? And they were pushing the envelope as high as possible. And, you know, me generations later, if I don't build on top of that, then I'm not doing my job. You know what I mean? Right. So I think it's more in that sense, you know, it's just, but like, it's just, it is, if it wasn't for them, like, we're not here, you know what I mean? For
sure. They definitely paved the way. Absolutely, man. I couldn't agree more. So now I got to ask you one thing, man. Those Korean Cobra Kai jackets, man, please tell me you got to take those home, because those were absolutely fire, man. Like, how can I get my hands on those, by the way?
Dude, I mean, shout out Frank. He killed it with the design. Just like even just the Cobra Kai logo design is just perfect. And then on top of that, like the jackets are so badass, and like I love Zara, and I'm pretty sure they were Zara jackets too. Like it was like it's literally like my style that I love to wear off camera as well. So like shout out Frank. They're so good. And like everyone was like, dude, we need to get those somehow. Like
I want to get my hands on some, man. Yeah.
But the moment we wore them, everyone was like, dude, these are so bad. Even the Miyagi-Do kids too were like, I'm so jealous. They're like, those are so sick. Yeah.
Yeah. Miyagi-Do is like, nothing against them, but they're pretty simple, right? They're just like Cobra Kai is like, you know what I mean? It's a different level, right? They go out and style. Well, even the first Karate Kid movie, right? When you saw the sleeveless gis and, when Johnny Lawrence was part of Cobra Kai, that was like badass, right? The black gi with the, you know what I mean? The yellowish, goldish, whatever stripe. And it was insane, man. But I got to ask, did you get to take anything home, like the gi, or you can't say, or
I'll just say that I'm not gonna name names.
Sure.
I'll just say that a lot of veterans, they're people that, from the main cast helped me out.
Oh, that's sick. Okay, we'll leave it at
because
that.
Me as the new guy, I was like, I don't know what I'm allowed to do, but they're the main guys, and
you got to take something home, man.
They steal it for me,
Yeah.
But no, for real. Like I'm not gonna name names, but I'm genuinely grateful. Like they were like, no, this is what you're supposed to do. You need to take this home. So like, yeah. But I'm sorry, Frank. I'm sorry. I didn't do the crime. I didn't do the crime.
Yeah.
I'm
definitely.
sorry.
Yeah. No, come on, man. They killed off your character. The least they can do is give you something. You know what I mean? Yeah, like what I mean. I'm sure. Like Ralph Macchio, he took the car that Mr. Miyagi gave him from the first film, right? He still has it in his garage.
But that's gifted to him,
That's you make a good point. You got me on that one.
I never confirmed it or denied it. We never know.
You never know, man. Yeah. I hope at least
happened.
the gi, like it's just cloth at the end of the day. So like, you know what I mean? Yeah. So but Brandon, man, I want to thank you so much for coming on here, man. This was like honestly one of the most funnest interviews I've had, and obviously Sean Kanan making an appearance, blessing us with his appearance is so surreal. And like, obviously you as well, man. And like the stories I got to hear, from your time on Cobra Kai, I've enjoyed it, man, off screen and on screen. And, I got to meet you. And I think out of all this, if I gained anything out of this, I think I gained a friend. I hope so. So
yeah. Thank you so much, Hilary. I really appreciate all your kind words. I love how passionate you are. I love your energy, and thank you for bringing Sean on and allowing me. That was really special. That was surreal. So I really appreciate that. And
absolutely.
Yeah, we'll stay in touch for sure. Thank you.
Oh, 100%, man. 100%. And before we log off, there's one thing I got to say, and this is just me speaking. A Johnny Lawrence and a Robby Keene never beats a Mike Barnes and a Quan.
Whoa, you think so?
You guys can come at me, not Brandon. I said it. So, yeah.
Oh, man.
So,
no comment on that, but
I just had to. I have a platform and I had to speak my mind. So, but it's all in good fun, man. It's all good. But once again, Brandon, thanks for coming on, and we will definitely keep in touch, man. And honestly, congratulations on a brilliant performance. And I hope this is not the last of Brandon Lee on the film stage, and maybe if they can somehow add Quan some way, you're legendary. So you'll people are going to be talking about you for years to come. So we'll see what happens with Quan in general. So
thank you, man. Thank you again so much for having me on. I had an absolute blast. Thank you.
And thank absolutely. You me too, man. I'm so blessed to have you on, man. Thank you once again.